All right, good evening, everybody, and welcome to our Lane Arts Council Fiesta Cultural Takeover of the Artist Happy Hour. Today is October 6th, and we have Fernell López joining us this evening. And before we get started, we do want a quick shout out for all of our sponsors. Thanks to Oregon Health Insurance Marketplace, the law offices of Lourdes Sanchez, the National Endowment for the Arts, Oregon Arts Commission, the City of Eugene Cultural Services, the Jordan Schnitzer Museum of Art, and Hector Norman. So thanks to all of our sponsors for making our programming with Fiesta Cultural possible. And for folks who don't know what Fiesta Cultural is, that is kind of an initiative with Lane Arts Council to kind of bring together community representation of Latinx artists in Lane County. And so that's providing a series of events from September all the way through December. You can check out more information on our webpage. And here to help kick off October with us, we have Fernell López, kind of a arts giant, if you will, for our community. Fernell, this is so exciting to be able to interview you, and welcome to our Fiesta Cultural interview.
Well, thanks for having me. Hi, Jill, and hi, Lane Arts community. Yeah, it's been some years, quite a few years now, but fortunately, I'm still able to do some music. Perhaps not as much as I used to, but I always find an excuse to do some music.
O una pregunta, Fernell, sería, ¿cuándo empezó usted a tocar música?
Bueno, lo primero que te voy a pedir es que me hables de tú, porque yo sé que en inglés es you and there's no él o ella, pero en español si me hablas de usted me siento más viejo de lo que soy. So, and we've known each other for long enough. La pregunta era, ¿cuánto tiempo? Pues yo llegué a Eugene en el 84, en la Navidad. Llegué un poquito de paso. I was just gonna kind of visit some family that had been here for years and never came and visit. Mi familia, que es de parte de mi mamá, mi tía y 6 primos, tenían ya años viviendo aquí y ellos iban a México pues cada año, cada 2 años y me decían seguido, ¿cuándo vas a Eugene? Y cuando pues las circunstancias se dieron para que pensara yo no solamente venir a visitar, sino a quedarme un rato. The first question I had to ask was, so where's Eugene? Oh, it's in Oregon. Well, where's Oregon? Tenía planes de ir a California, porque yo había tocado ya por muchos años en México con amigos de la infancia, all friends of mine for years, and we had a band for, I don't know, 6, 7 years in Mexico. Y 2 de ellos vinieron a California y ya tenían años viviendo ahí. So when I decided to come here, I thought, well, Oregon is just north of California. Maybe I should go and visit the family, and then I can go down to California and stay with my friends and play some music. So that was in 84, and I'm still here. Never made it to California. Not yet anyway. Pero, curiosamente, mis amigos que vivían ahí, después se vinieron para acá. Y fue así como nació, bueno, no nació, pero fue una etapa de sandunga y después caliente y siguió la música. But 84 is when I started.
And Fernell, another question would be, because some people kind of fall into music. I've talked to artists that is, nobody in my family did music. It's just I happened to join this after school program. But then there's other people who is, oh, just generations of people in my family have been musicians, or that was just part of our family culture. For you, what was your connection to music growing up?
So I can say that my parents were not musicians, but they were musical. My mom actually took some piano lessons in the music conservatory in Mexico, just for a year or so. Um, and then my dad played by ear the piano. Um, but it was really my sister, my oldest sister. I'm the youngest in a family of 8. My oldest sister, she's gonna be 85 in February, I think. 85 or 86, somewhere there. And she was the first kind of official musician in my family. But if we go uh, back, I had uncles, some uncles, and some other relatives that were, either a violin player or a piano player. So it was in the family, but it was really my sister who was a musician, a piano player, and then she uh, got to be part of a choir in the University of Mexico, National University. And since I have a big family, muchos primos y hermanos y las novias de mis hermanos at that time, there was enough people to. My sister came home one day and said, we should we should make a choir in the family. We get together almost every Sunday anyway, so we can just hire somebody to be our director and form a choir. And we did. And I think, again, for some reason, we took the name of the choir of the School of Economy. That, I guess, it was available, and we just took that name. And and there were about 20, 22, 23 people. I was an alto back then, because I was probably 8 or 9. And that was kind of my first incursion into kind of formal music. Um, y desde luego, como en muchas familias en México, siempre había música en la casa, ¿no? Um, Mi hermana, mis hermanos, varios de mis hermanos oían música clásica, mi hermana oía la música romántica del tiempo, los boleros, la música romántica de Cuba. Um, y años después, también por influencia de mi hermano, el que sigue de mí, que me lleva 10 años, um, he picked up the guitar and started learning kind of on his own how to play the guitar. This is in the 60s, mid 60s. And eventually he was part of a youth group that went to, was part of the Olympics in 68 in Mexico. But through that, later he was able to go to Chile and Argentina, some cultural exchange with other groups there, and he got exposed to the new song movement in South America, which was really, really big at that time, especially in Chile and Argentina and Peru,
Mhm.
con grupos como Inti Gimani, Quilapayún, y Violeta Parra y Mercedes Sosa y
Mm.
todos esos pues grandes personajes de la música, pues no de protesta, pero la música de contenido social. and it was a big um, kind of renaissance of um, taking the traditional music from whatever country and make new music using the traditional styles and the traditional instruments. Y es así como la música folclórica pasa a ser una música de contenido social y, y surgen muchos grupos y personajes muy importantes. He came back from that experience, and a few years later, his um, somebody he met in Chile came to Mexico, and they became a couple. They married, y fundó una peña. Peña es en España, es una tradición de peña, puede ser cualquier lugar donde se junta la gente con un motivo específico. Puede ser una peña de poesía, una peña literaria, una peña taurina, una peña de política, un grupo de gentes que se juntan para discutir o platicar o intercambiar ideas de lo que sea. Y hay peñas musicales. Again, at that time in the 60s, peñas were really popular, especially in Chile, Argentina, um, and there were a place where not only people would come and listen to music, but really kind of discuss social issues, meet other people, get involved into social justice um, movements and things. But music was kind of the catalyst of all that. And so he founded this peña in Mexico City, Peña Tecuicanime. Tecuicanime is a Nahuatl name that means los cantores del pueblo, the singers of the people. Y esa peña va a cumplir en diciembre, va a cumplir 50 años.
Wow.
Y sigue funcionando. Ya mi hermano no es parte de ella, pero gentes que siguieron esa tradición la siguen administrando, and it's still there, and it just opens Fridays and Saturdays. That's been the always from the beginning, Fridays and Saturdays. There's a minimal charge at the door, and then with that you get the music, whatever. There's usually 2, 3 bands sometimes, and you get in the intermission you get molletes. You know what molletes are?
Mm-hmm.
Un pan, un bolillo con frijoles y queso, and coffee. Y los molletes los hacen ahí mismo en la cocina, and that was and is still the tradition in la Peña Tecuicaní. Y estando ahí, conocí pues a muchas gentes, músicos, otros no eran músicos, pero ahí empezaron a aprender la música folclórica de Latinoamérica, y ahí empecé a aprender a tocar guitarra y percusiones y cuatro y charango, just by listening and seeing other people every weekend.
Yeah, so mucha influencia de la familia, de los hermanos.
Right. Yeah, that, maybe in another family it would have been totally different.
Yeah. Well, looking at how you brought some of that influence up here to Oregon, what was the first musical group that you got involved with when you moved up here in kind of the end of '84?
Hmm. So it's just like anything in life, a bunch of circumstances that just came together at a particular time. But in Mexico, I play this kind of new folk music for some years. But then my friends from childhood they were also, some of them were musicians, and they formed a band, but they played top 40s music. And there was a band like a type of a Chicago type of band, the keyboard and guitar and bass and the horns um, and sometimes they needed a trumpet player, and they knew that I played some music, never played trumpet, but they said, "Hey, would you like to join the band and learn trumpet?" So maybe. So I became part of that band and started playing top 40s music in the 70s. Anything like Chicago, Earth, Wind and Fire, Bee Gees, and we would play in nightclubs um, and those friends, when the band broke up, some of those two friends came to LA and were there playing music. When I came to Oregon, I thought, well, I'll visit the family and then I'll go down to California and play with my friends. Um, but in Eugene, my cousin used to work in a bank, and one of her customers was somebody named Armando Morales, and that changed kind of the whole trajectory of my plans. Uh, he kind of learned that, oh, you have a cousin that is coming. Oh, he's a musician. Really? I have a band that plays folk music here in Eugene, and when is he coming? Well, soon. And then he just kept calling my cousin. Is he here? Is he here yet? Is he here yet? So I arrived in Eugene on Christmas. No, what is it? The night before Christmas? Christmas
Christmas
Eve,
Eve.
the 24th. And that day, Armando came and picked me up from my cousin's house and say, "There's a Latino party tonight, and you're coming with me, and we're gonna play." And I played with Sandunga that night, and the next day I was part of the band, and gave it up to Armando and said, "You want to go to school?" And in 2 weeks, I was already um, signed up to go to HEP program, high school equivalency program in at the university. Started going to school there, kept playing with Sandunga, and the rest is history.
Hmm.
Some 30 some years ago.
Yes, that's amazing how sometimes just one person can change the trajectory of things.
Sí,
Y estuvimos comentando que no hay video, no hay YouTube con recuerdos de Sandunga, ¿verdad?
sí, tengo videos que alguien grababa, um, but let's see, you know, no, now that'll take some time, but porque tengo un DVD que tiene muchos pedacitos de Sandunga. Tiene Sandunga tocando en el Saturday Market, um, tocando en las giras de Teatro Nuestro, que ya platicaremos un poquito la participación de Sandunga con Teatro Nuestro, pero son pedacitos, pero sí, no había YouTube, entonces son home videos that sometime, most likely when I retire, I'm going to have time to organize and edit and put together in a way that I can find them when I need them, and I can share them with anybody who's interested.
So a project in the making. For listeners who haven't heard no Inti Limani or Kilapayun, what kind of was the sound of Sandunga? Because I am imagining it was kind of similar. What kind of instruments? How many people were in the band? And yeah, I've heard that Sandunga even played at the Oregon Country Fair before. So
Yeah.
I know you all traveled pretty widely to play.
Yeah. Um, so I started in '85 playing with Sandunga, but the next year, but the summer of '85 or the fall of '85, my two friends in California moved here because we told them, hey, this is a pretty cool town, and you can go to school, and um, there's a band here, and there's hardly any Latin music going on, so they decided to come here. They became part of Sandunga, but Sandunga um, had been kind of a mostly South American folk music. So a lot of the pan flutes and the quenas and the charango, the little guitars, and the bombo, the percussion, the drum. I think mostly that's what they used to play before. Um, and then when I joined, I played the cuatro, which is kind of the national instrument in Venezuela, the four-string guitar, kind of a ukulele type, and just started to introduce different rhythms. And so we played some music from Venezuela, Colombia, Argentina, um, and eventually we got into Mexican music, Mexican folk music, sones jarochos, um, corridos, included the vihuela and the guitarrón. And again, none of us really, were masters at any of those instruments, but Armando had quite a few instruments. Every time I would go to Mexico, I would bring a vihuela or a guitarrón or a guitarras golpe or something. Or my mom, when she used to come and say, "Hey, could you go to please ask around and get me a jarana?"
Hmm.
Yeah. So the amount of instruments started growing, and we started playing more kind of new song. This style that um, is based on those traditional rhythms, but with some new lyrics and this is again at the time here in Eugene where especially the Latin American um, movements were really being supported. We had those caravans from people from El Salvador and Nicaragua, and bands like Inti Imani and Quilapayún. We had one lady, what's her name? The Wesley Center, uh, lady from Argentina that
Nelly Link.
Nelly, and she had the means to put together musical festivals and bring people from South America or Mexico, and we had some pretty big events where not only come and listen to music, but people really kind of um, were immersed in what was going on in Latin America at that time. Obviously, a lot of the revolutionary movements in Central America and even Chile and Argentina and things. Um, so we started play that kind of music, and then with the addition of two of my friends, one of them played the bass, the electric bass, and the other one played flute and sax. So we kind of added some new sounds and more instruments to Sandunga. Um, y como entramos todos a estudiar música en LCC, éramos pues no los únicos, pero muy pocos latinos que estaban en la escuela y menos en la escuela de música. So we were called, I can't remember, the three something in at LCC, and we started playing Latin music there, and with two friends from the music school, somebody said, "Hey, why don't we play salsa?" And I knew what salsa was, but I never played it before. My friends, the same thing. So we kind of decided, well, let's learn what salsa is all about, and then maybe we can play it. And that was kind of the beginning of Caliente.
Mm.
Years later, about '87. Yeah,
Oh,
and that's
wow.
one, two, three, four, five Latinos and four or five four Anglos.
Yeah,
And
that is an amazing photo, Fernell.
well, certainly when we were young and beautiful, at least young.
Well, and sometimes I think we forget, with larger band sets, just how many instruments go into making a song, or how many people, the coordination of being able to time the timbal and all of the different pieces working together to create this sound that sometimes, if you don't see the music live, you just have no idea what goes into it. And I think this is really representative of, like, a good salsa group. You could have
Mm,
quite a few people involved.
yeah. And this was kind of a not the beginning and not certainly not the end. That's two, four, six, eight, nine people. At some point, we were 12 with four horns and more percussion. But um, so Caliente started, when we started playing uh, salsa, it wasn't really salsa because we were learning. And um, anybody from Puerto Rico or Cuba, if they listen to us, we would say, well, that's not salsa. That's a good try, but so again, kind of keeping the immigration channel open. My nephew, who's in the back there, the youngest with the white caliente T-shirt, um, he's my oldest sister's son, and when he was in Mexico, he played a little bit of piano, but he was into new age music at that time. So he decided to come here, and right when he got here, our regular piano player told us that he was thinking of moving to New York. So I told my nephew, "Hey, we're gonna need a piano player." But back then, at that time, we were pretty decent. Still learning salsa, but it sounded more like salsa. So I told him, if you want to play in the band, but you're gonna need to learn the style really quick because our piano player is leaving soon. He did, and he became a really good piano player. He lives now in near Seattle, and he's played with number of great artists from Cuba and Puerto Rico and Dominican Republic, and he writes arrangements for anybody. So again, one of those things that a young kid from Mexico that just kind of wanted to come here and see what it was like. Now lives in Seattle and plays salsa and writes music for a bunch of people. But he kind of became the director of the band back there because he really took it upon himself to learn the style and learn the differences and the roots and the um, he would tell you, no, that's not the way it's played. Whether you were playing the cowbell or the conga, no, 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 that's not the way. If you're not gonna do it right, don't do it at all. So um, became a good leader of the band, and that was kind of the perhaps the best years of Caliente.
Yeah, to be able to have somebody who knows all of the different pieces and how they work together, how they work independently, that's, a key element of a band. Y pues otra pregunta, Fernell, es ¿cuántos instrumentos tocas? Porque me dijiste que tocas como 4 más o menos bien,
Mm.
pero 10 10 instrumentos puedes. So, explícanos un poquito acerca de los instrumentos que tocas.
Um, Cuando estaba en México, en La Peña, aprendí a tocar. Yo creo que al mismo tiempo empecé a tocar un poco el cuatro venezolano, el charango andino, un instrumento que es como una mandolina, pero más pequeño. La guitarra, um, y un poquito la vihuela del mariachi. Todos instrumentos de cuerdas. Pero en algún momento empecé a tomar clases formales de bombo, que es el tambor andino de Bolivia, Perú, Argentina, Chile. Y, y bueno, aprendí, digamos, a tocarlo bien o a tocarlo como se debe, uh, de uno de los músicos de los folcloristas, que en aquel entonces pues eran el grupo más conocido de música folclórica pues en México y en Latinoamérica, junto con Inti Illimani y Quilapayún. Pero ahí aprendí bombo y después empecé a tocar algo de percusiones, de congas, bongos, um, maracas, clave, campana, todos los instrumentos básicos de la salsa, porque otra vez cuando empezó, bueno, ya desde Sandunga, um, y sobre todo con Caliente, pues no había músicos aquí que tocaran percusiones, que tocaran congas, ¿no? Y entonces pues había que aprender a hacerlo. Pero yo creo que charango, cuatro, guitarra, vihuela, y ahora estoy tratando de aprender o tocar mejor el guitarrón, um, que es un instrumento muy, muy bonito y muy interesante porque hay que tocar dos cuerdas a la vez. Pero percusiones como congas, el cajón, que es una caja de madera, que eso se usa mucho en Perú, pero ahora le están usando mucho hasta los grupos de rock y demás,
Ujú.
porque es pues muy versátil. Um, y, pero algo curioso es que otra vez viviendo en un lugar donde no había muchos músicos latinos, ah, cuando tú te acuerdas de la Fiesta Latina, que fue un festival pues que fue, tuvo muy buenas épocas en los noventas, ¿no?
Ujú.
Pero siempre pedían música de mariachi y hace años, pues para conseguir un buen mariachi había que pensar en Seattle o California, ah, entonces no había por aquí cerca, ¿no? Entonces, am, Rebeca, una de las organizadoras, una vez me dijo, oye, ¿por qué no formas un mariachi? Porque nos piden mucho la música de mariachi. ¿Y no puedes hacer un mariachi? Le dije, bueno, nunca he tocado música de mariachi, pero lo voy a intentar. Uh, Back then, we had two really good trumpet players in Caliente that play, with the Eugene Symphony, and they kind of put me in touch with two ladies, that violin players from the symphony, and they told me, "Oh, this ladies can probably pick it up." So we got together. I wrote some charts, and we formed a mariachi band, pretty much exclusively for Fiesta Latina. And again, if a real mariachi person would come around and say, "Nah, not really," but it's what was needed at the time. And pero con Sandunga quisiera comentar porque fue una época también muy importante y muy interesante para nosotros como músicos y como personas, porque um, in the 87, 88, we joined forces with a theater company, um, and particularly a guy that was kind of getting some funds together so he could write a play, uh, pretty much specifically for migrant workers working in the fields um, in Oregon, but eventually we made it to California, mostly California, Arizona, um, and New Mexico. And it was a play that was designed to kind of educate the migrant workers of the dangers of pesticides, because back then, and it's still happening, but back then especially, it was a big problem with pesticides being spread in the fields. And as you know, there are women and kids working in the fields, and pregnant women, and people were dying. Uh, so this guy wrote a play, and I wrote the music for the play. And with Sandunga, we did like 3 years or 4 years, just going around. Initially Oregon, then California, and then Arizona. And we would go into the field in the middle of nowhere, sometimes with permission, sometimes without permission, and would set up a makeshift, um, um, you know, theater, some curtains, and would start doing display with some music. And uh, it was great because it was fun, but it was also kind of trying to make people aware of the dangers of pesticides. And we got to travel to different places and get to see close the reality of migrant workers in the fields, which is not pleasant many times, and very
Mhm.
hard working conditions. But
Yes. And I do, realizing we only have 20 or so minutes left, I do want to invite, I believe, Jessica, there's a way for our viewers to ask questions for Fernell as well. Yes. And so I believe you can kind of pop questions um, into our live feed. You can put them in the comments, and we'll be happy to ask Fernell for you if you have any questions here as we're kind of
mhm.
approaching the last chunk of our interview. Um, so, Fernell, you got involved with kind of some family music with older siblings, bringing, again, your sister bringing choir into the family, and your brother kind of getting involved with music in Latin America and South America, specifically, kind of the protesting songs, bringing kind of that influence to you, having the influence of the peñas and just all of this kind of musical community being involved with them, getting started with a lot of different string instruments, playing with a group in Mexico. The group disbands. Some of the members come to California. You come to visit family with the idea of going back down to California, but just never quite make it down there.
Yeah.
And then get involved with Sandunga, Caliente, mariachi groups. It was quite a legacy. Again, saying one of our giants of our artist community here. I'm imagining folks listening are getting kind of an idea of just the ripples and the effects of Fernell López in our arts community throughout the years. Um, it's just amazing things, and also like working with the Teatro Campesino and spreading information through art in that way of kind of the power of art, not just as a medium for pleasure, but for expression and social change.
Mhm. Yeah, and I'm certainly proud of the fact that if anything else, we've been kind of the the school somehow for many musicians and singers. Uh, One of them is my nephew, but there's been Freddy Vilches, who was one of the singers in Caliente. I think he's still doing music in Portland. Um, the piano player that left Caliente years ago is he's now a music producer in Nashville, quite successful. Um, there's a trumpet player that writes music for video games. Again, really successful in Buffalo, New York. Um, and there's a couple of singers that started with Caliente, and now they play with oh, what's the name? Uh, um, some big Latin band in New York. Um, but it's uh, one of the ladies that was in Caliente number of years ago used to mention that well, if I um, can describe something about Fernell is that he's like a kind of like a teacher. You know, he kind of gives you enough tools so you can grow, and then you can make it and whatever you want to do. But that's certainly very something that I enjoy and kind of keep doing right now. The Mariachi del Shed, which is one of the things that I'm doing right now. Also started kind of by coincidence. Um, the Shed just approached me and said, "Hey, we've been asking a teacher that used to work at Springfield Elementary, at Springfield High School, conducting the mariachi band, but he can't do it during the week. And would you be able to do it? Would you want to do it?" And I said, "Well, maybe I can try." Oh, about 5 6 years ago, I started just working with some kids, and some of those kids still part of the band. So we've been kind of growing together. I'm learning as I go because mariachi music is not like forte at all, but it's fun, and kind of learning to do it right. It takes some work. Um, and so right now, uh, because of the COVID um, issue, schools, some districts were given some important funds. And this summer, our principal at Kelly Middle School, where where I worked for the past 22 years, just said, "Hey, we have a bunch of money. If anybody wants to do any summer programs or any camps or whatever, let me know." And I just remember then, oh, we've been talking about having a mariachi group in the North region, either North Eugene or Kelly, and I thought, well, can we use some of that money for that? We can use it for anything we want. So I started a mariachi camp, and we used quite a bit of money to buy a bunch of instruments. So now we have at Kelly a bunch of vihuelas, guitarrones, trompetas, violines, and because uh, we kind of took advantage of perhaps people not necessarily knowing what's the all the instrumentation for mariachi. We just added a few congas and a few güiros and a few bunch of other instruments are not part of mariachi, but and we've been doing a music appreciation class there. And my hope is that we can use Ganas, which is one of the programs I run at Kelly for Latino students, and use some of those instruments and perhaps have a mariachi band sometime there, or just any kind of Latin band starting in middle and high school.
Hmm. Do we have any video that we can show folks of the mariachi music?
Um,
I don't know if we have
I,
that cute or if we just have photos.
well, we have that photo. Let's see. I have again some home videos that I'm afraid it would take.
That is okay. And I'm sure folks can find other clips, but I know I've seen some of our local mariachi youth groups play, and it's really amazing seeing, high school kids with the giant guitarron or
Yeah.
some of the instruments. It's amazing to see kids playing them.
Hmm.
But is Mariachi del Shed still happening?
Yeah. That's kind of the latest version. That picture. So we have people from high school and up to gentleman. Is he? Oh no, that's he's not there. But we have a 70-some-year-old trumpet player, and the lady in front. Um, it's a couple of our elderly players. So we just welcome anybody who wants to try mariachi music, especially for violins and trumpets. It's best if they already play uh, some violin or trumpet, because I can't necessarily teach them how to play it. But if it's guitar or vihuela, if they're beginners, I can work with them. So we have different levels, but that's happening right now. We have a fall, winter, and spring session, and usually we have a summer camp, 2 week summer camp. And sometimes we have a beginner group and an advanced group. Right now, we just have the advanced group. Things are kind of coming back to normal in terms of being able to be together in a room. As you can tell in the picture there, everybody's wearing a mask. So eventually things will get better. But yeah, that's mostly what I'm doing right now, because Lo Nuestro, which was uh, sometimes trio, sometimes quartet, um, people are have moved to other towns and far away. So, but every now and then I perform with my daughter, Ivania,
Mhm.
and sometimes we play in schools or somebody's anniversary or a little party, and she's bilingual, so sometimes we sing. She's I sing in Spanish. She can sing some songs in English too. But and not too long ago, somebody hired us to sing the national anthem.
Oh, very cool. So, yeah, you could say you're a Fernell of all trades, as it were, um, doing literally all of the things. But,
Well, quite a few.
mhm. So, para ver, ahorita si tenemos gente viendo esta entrevista, si tienen interés en aprender la música mariachi, pueden formarse como parte del grupo de Mariachi del Shed. No hay límites de edad, sino no bebés o
Um, no
gente
de
muy joven.
no de edad, pero si es violín y trompeta, idealmente ya tocan suficiente, pueden leer música. Um, y si es guitarra también, aunque pueden ser más principiantes y podemos incluirlos en el grupo. Pero no hay límite de edad. Posiblemente hubiera un límite de cantidad, porque estamos en un salón grande, pero somos 8 ahorita, y creo que el límite son 10
Mm,
en ese salón. Um,
claro.
pero bueno, hay algo de espacio. Y no tenemos, bueno, hay un pequeño video de lo nuestro, pero tengo algunas canciones de Caliente. Si te parece, podemos tocar un pedacito de dos canciones, que es un poquito para ver un poquito diversidad de estilos que tocaba Caliente.
That would be lovely. I
¿Está
think
bien?
it's always good. We'll have to see with Jessica our behind the scenes.
Oh, those I can play from here, and maybe she can just tell me if it's too loud or not loud enough.
That sounds perfect to me.
This is Caliente and it's golden years, I guess.
Siguen viviendo en mí como si fuera ayer. Lo que por ti sentí cuando te conocí. El eco de tu corazón, nuestra canción de amor, hoy siguen viviendo. La voz de mi interior quiso hacerse canción de amor por ti. Hoy la voz de mi interior quiso hacerse canción de amor. Cuando vuelva a ver tu sonrisa al despertar, nuestras vidas se unirán en un nuevo amanecer. Cuando vuelva a ver tu sonrisa al despertar, nuestras vidas se unirán en un nuevo amanecer. La voz de mi interior quiso hacerse canción de amor por ti. Ay, la voz de mi interior.
How many integrantes did you have in the group for this song?
What's that?
How many folks did you have in the group when you played this song? For folks listening to us, how many musicians does it take to produce that?
So this is a whole album that we recorded, and we were probably 10 with I think 4 horns, 2 trumpets, 1 sax, and 1 trombone, keyboard, bass, timbales, congas, güiro, and well, two main singers. Although a lot of people sang in the choruses, and this album has like half of the songs are original. So Freddie wrote some of the songs, and some others are more kind of from the salsa repertoire. That's the case of there's one, something called El Patacón Pisao.
No rechace mi amado, si le dan otra cosa, no rechace mi amado, yo no quiero papada, mi platanito asado, yo no quiero papada, mi platanito asado, yo quiero que me dé mi pescado guisado, yo quiero que me dé mi pescado guisado, patacón pisado, patacón pisado.
That's more danceable.
I wanted to dance to both of them, but it's harder to control yourself.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, so a legacy of musical. I love how you said it es como enseñar a los demás empezar y después ellos pueden dirigir su propio camino, ¿verdad? Pero
yeah.
ayudar a la gente a empezar con la música es un gran regalo para la comunidad.
Bueno, es muchas veces algo que muchos tenemos, pero no siempre lo descubrimos. Ah, y hace falta alguien que nos muestre un poquito, nos ponga en esa ventana o nos abra esa puerta. Así que me encanta hacerlo.
Ujú. Kind of
Yeah,
reminds me of
lo nuestro, just reading some of the questions. Um, yeah, lo nuestro was kind of a offspring of Caliente, and it was sometimes an eight, 4 pieces, 5 pieces, 3 pieces, or duet or duo.
ujú. So, again, Sandunga, Caliente, Lo Nuestro, different mariachi groups. You have you've seen and done quite a bit, Fernell, in terms of the music world. But I think a lot of musicians, I had talked to very few musicians who stay in one group the entirety of their musical life. But for you, are there any instruments that you want to still learn that you think are next on the list?
That I want to learn. Um, well, I want to be able to play the guitarron good enough. So maybe I can accomplish that in a year or something.
Oh, absolutely. I have faith. If you play 10 instruments decently so enough to fake it, then I am absolutely positive you can get that in a year. Um, well, ya se está acabando la hora. Entonces, Fernel, si la gente quiere escuchar la música de Caliente, ¿dónde se encuentra?
Bueno, yo tengo todavía como 2 cajas completas de CDs que están a un precio muy módico de $2 por CD. No sé, no sé si estén a la venta en algún lugar, la verdad lo dudo, pero sé que la biblioteca tenía 1 o 2 CDs de Caliente. Pero desde luego se pueden poner en contacto conmigo o con Lane Arts y pueden solicitar CDs de Caliente. Solamente grabamos uno. Con Sandunga grabamos 2 álbums, pero también originalmente esos se vendían en cassettes. So
Mm.
somebody later made a, a disc of it, um, pero lo mejor es si quieren escuchar algo de música, pues pueden venir al Shed o a Kelly. Y ahora que tenemos instrumentos ahí en la escuela,
Ujú.
podemos tocar juntos.
Y claro, también hay varios eventos como parte de Fiesta Cultural, como tuvieron el 25 de septiembre un evento para la música mariachi con ustedes, ¿verdad? Y va a haber diferentes oportunidades a escuchar música de nuestra comunidad como parte de Fiesta Cultural. So if you are interested, you can contact Fernell for some $2 caliente CDs. So very good price. Also checking out some of our other events with Fiesta Cultural that again, we're going to be having kind of programming from September all the way through the end of December. And there are pop-up events at different locations. Again, you can go to the website, which is kind of on the banner across the bottom for more events that are coming up. I know there will be several for Dia de los Muertos at the end of the month and lots of great music. Fernell, thank you so much for taking some time to share with us just kind of some of your history, some of your talent, and some of your impact on our community. It's amazing to be able to share this space with you. Anything else Oh, kind of before we start closing out our interview here.
Well, thanks for the invitation. Um, Again, I work at Kelly Middle School, and I'm really hoping that we can bring back the annual event we do in March, Benito Juarez, because that's an event where, again, we invite people from the community, either dance groups or music groups or different talent. And it's just an opportunity for the community in the River Road area to come together and celebrate certainly Latino culture, but just any culture. And now that we're sharing a building with the YG program, the Japanese immersion program, I'm hoping that this next Benito Juarez could be even bigger and have some taiko drumming and all kinds of things.
Yes, music is definitely an opportunity to connect, to share, to kind of understand the world around us. So, again, thank you for all you do, Fernell, and bringing that to our community. And again, we would like to give a quick shout out to all of our sponsors: Oregon Health Insurance Marketplace, the law offices of Lourdes Sanchez, the National Endowment for the Arts, Oregon Arts Commission, the City of Eugene Cultural Services, Jordan Schnitzer Museum of Art, and Hector Norman. And of course, a big thanks to Lane Arts Council for all of your community organizing as well, getting folks involved with the arts, promoting the arts, having spaces for arts. And we will see you the first Wednesday of November for our next Fiesta Cultural Takeover of the Lane Arts Happy Hour. And you can again contact Lane Arts Council for more information or to get in touch with Fernell. And thank you all so much for being here this evening.
Thank you very much.